There's a moment you know well. Someone starts getting close to you, and without meaning to, you pull back. You pick a small fight. You go quiet for no clear reason. You wait to see if they'll notice you're gone. You tell yourself you're just being careful. But somewhere underneath, you already know what you're doing. You're testing them. Not because you don't want love. Because you want it so badly, you need proof it won't disappear. Think about the last time someone was consistent with you. They texted back. They showed up. They remembered small things. And instead of relaxing, something in you tightened. A quiet voice asked, "Is this real? Or are they just not tired of me yet?" So you tested it. Maybe you didn't answer for a day, just to see if they'd chase. Maybe you brought up a flaw in the relationship that wasn't really the problem. Maybe you got distant right when things felt good, just to watch if they'd stay. On the page, it might just say, if they really cared, they'd notice. That sentence has probably run your relationships for years. Friendships that faded because you needed them to prove themselves first. Romantic partners who felt like they were walking through a hallway of locked doors, one after another, never told which key would work. You didn't do this because you're manipulative. You did it because somewhere, trust stopped feeling safe to give freely. This isn't about being guarded. It's about your nervous system treating closeness the way it treats danger. It's called an unconscious loyalty test. You create small ruptures, distance, silence, provocation, not to push people away, but to see if they'll come back. Because if they leave, at least you found out early. At least the loss is on your terms, not a surprise. The tragedy is that this test often works exactly backward. The people who stay through manipulation and provocation are sometimes the ones who are used to chaos themselves, and the people who would have loved you steadily, the ones who don't play games, often leave quietly, confused about what they did wrong. They didn't fail the test. The test was never fair to begin with. Here's what needs to be said clearly. This is not a character flaw. It's not proof that you're too much or impossible to love. It's an adaptation. Somewhere earlier in your life, love was inconsistent, conditional, or unpredictable. Maybe affection depended on someone's mood. Maybe you learned that people who said they'd stay didn't. Maybe you were the child who had to read a room before you could feel safe in it. Your brain did something intelligent with that information. It built an early warning system. If closeness once meant danger, then testing people before trusting them was never irrational. It was protection. The problem isn't that the system existed. The problem is that it never got the update. Not everyone is the same person who hurt you. Here's what's actually happening underneath your behavior. Your brain has something researchers call an internal working model, a mental blueprint built in early relationships for what closeness is supposed to feel like. Think of it like a map drawn in the dark. You didn't get to see the terrain clearly. You only felt your way through it. And once that map is drawn, your brain uses it to predict the future, even when the present doesn't match. So when someone new is warm and consistent, your brain doesn't fully trust the data. It trusts the map instead. This is loss aversion working in relationships. The pain of being abandoned again outweighs the relief of being loved well. So your mind runs a simulation before it lets your heart catch up. It says, let's find the exit before we get too far in. Testing becomes a way of controlling when the pain happens, instead of being ambushed by it later. Trust doesn't retreat because you don't want closeness. It retreats because your nervous system is trying to survive a story that already ended, one that isn't happening again, even if it feels like it might. Here's a framework for rebuilding trust without testing it. First, name the test the moment you feel the urge. Not to stop yourself, just to notice. Naming a behavior activates the brain's reflective center and quiets the threat response driving the impulse. Instead of going silent on someone after a good date, pause and think, I feel the urge to disappear right now. That single sentence interrupts the automatic reaction. Second, replace the test with a direct question. If you want to know if someone cares, ask, instead of engineering a situation to find out. Indirect testing relies on inference, which your anxious brain will always interpret in the worst possible light. Instead of picking a fight to see if they'll stay, try saying, I've been feeling anxious about this. Can we talk? Third, let consistency accumulate before you judge it. One good week doesn't undo years of hypervigilance, and it doesn't need to. Updating your internal working model takes repeated corrective emotional experience, not a single event. Instead of deciding after one disappointment that someone is just like everyone else, track patterns over months, not moments. Separate your history from their identity. The fear in the room is old. The person in front of you is not. This is called cognitive reappraisal, reframing a triggering situation with new context. Reduce the emotional charge of the memory it's tied to. When you feel the old fear rise, silently say, this feeling is from before. This person hasn't earned distrust yet. Fifth, practice receiving care without shrinking it. When someone shows up for you, let it land instead of deflecting it. Repeated exposure to safe closeness without sabotage gradually retrains the threat detection system to recognize safety as familiar, not suspicious. When someone checks on you, resist the urge to say, you didn't have to. Just say, thank you. That means something. Here's the model to hold on to. You are not testing people because you don't want love. You're testing them because a part of you is still standing guard at a door that was broken into once, a long time ago. That guard isn't your enemy. It's a part of you that kept you safe when you had no other option. But it's still working from an old map. One drawn in the dark, in a different house, with different people. The work isn't to fire the guard. It's to slowly show it a new map drawn in daylight, one honest moment at a time. You don't have to trust everyone, but you don't have to test everyone either. Somewhere between guarded and open, There's a quieter path, one where you let people prove themselves through time, not through provocation. You are allowed to let someone stay without engineering their departure first. You are allowed to believe slowly that this time might be different. Not because you have proof yet, but because you're finally willing to find out.